It's pretty common for children to have imaginary friends, and so my parents never thought much of it when I started seeing mine at the age of 3. Now, I don't remember the first moment I saw him, but I have vague recollections. And I remember falling down and Samuel helping me up. He appeared to be a kid my age, and I didn't think twice about it. I had a friend to play with, and that's all that mattered. When I was around 8 years old, my parents began to be concerned that I was still seeing Samuel. And at the time, I didn't understand why they had become more worried, considering they had no problem believing me before. And I didn't realize that imaginary friends were supposed to be just that, imaginary. And it was at this point Samuel told me to pretend he didn't exist around other people. And making friends wasn't easy for me, but I didn't really need to. Samuel was always there for me, and so I didn't see a reason to try to make more friends. And plus, it didn't feel fair to him, since they couldn't see him. We agreed it was better that people didn't know about him anyways. Samuel proved to be really helpful to me, and since other people couldn't see him, he was able to look at other kids' papers and tell me their answers, or even knock balls or other things out of their hands to help me with PE. It was like having a superpower. One day, a kid tried to bully me. I can't remember what for, but it was something trivial. Samuel told me to punch him, but I wouldn't do it. The kid cornered me, and I covered up to protect myself. After a moment, I looked up and noticed that he was bent over, holding his gut. Samuel had punched him. I reached out to help him up, and Samuel kicked him in the face, sending him to the ground and unconscious. A lot of other kids were watching, but none dared to tell on me. They must have thought I actually had powers or something, because everyone, including the bully, made up some bogus story about him tripping and falling, and everyone was terrified of me. Samuel told me this was good, and that everyone should be scared of us. Now we had the power to tell anybody what to do. Something about it felt wrong, but he had never led me astray, so I listened. People who wronged me, or I didn't like, would have bad things happen to them. Nothing major, but they'd end up with some bumps and bruises. And as I got older, Samuel began to go places on his own. He wouldn't be gone for long, maybe a few days at the most, and he never told me what he was doing. However, because of this, I'd started actually to attempt to make friends and be social. Samuel didn't like it too much, but he allowed it, as long as I knew that they were not my best friend. And eventually, in high school, I had actually secured a date with a girl. Now, I'll call her Emily. Emily was super cute, blonde, blue eyes, pretty stereotypically attractive. The fact that she was entertaining me at all was amazing to me. And she was a really sweet girl, so I really wanted this to work. We had agreed to meet up at the theater to watch a horror movie. As I got dressed, Samuel came back from one of his trips. "What are you dressing up for?" he asked inquisitively. "I have a date," I responded, adjusting my hair, trying to make it look perfect. "A date? Why are you going on dates? Trying to get some action, I see," he said, a grin on his face that filled me with disgust. Something about his expression and his eyes genuinely scared me. "Nah, man, I actually like this girl." His face shifted to annoyance. "Look, I get I've been going on business trips more often than usual, but that doesn't mean you need a girlfriend. She's just going to get in the way." And I tried to ignore him as I got ready. I should have known he would be upset. "You going to ignore me? I'm not imaginary, you know." "I'll see you when I get back, Samuel." I said rather dismissively as I left to go pick her up. And the date went great, and we decided to get ice cream after the movie. However, while in the middle of the conversation, I noticed someone standing in the window outside the shop, and it was Samuel. He stood there, arms crossed. He looked pissed. Then he lowered his arms and proceeded to walk towards the door. Luckily, he still seemed to be bound by walls and other physical things. I grabbed Emily by the hand and pulled her towards the other exit, telling her there's no time to explain, but we have to go. She must have thought it was just some game, as she giggled and played along. I drove her back to her house, and we even kissed before she went inside. Overall, this was a great night, and I couldn't be happier about it. However, when I got home, Samuel was waiting for me. You have to get rid of her. Get rid of her. Samuel, what are you? I don't like her. She's not good for you. Break up with her or I will. Now I looked at Samuel and saw the anger on his face. That grimace it was contorted into gave me chills. That evil look in his eyes made me want to cower. But I tried to stand my ground. Look, man, if you're going to be like this, what? Are you going to choose some girl over me, your oldest friend? Samuel, I appreciate you, man, but you have to let me make friends and live. I can't just have an imaginary friend forever. I'm almost 18. And if I thought he was angry before, I was in for a rude awakening. His face contorted into something filled with pure hate, and he gritted his teeth. I swear his eyes almost looked black. Fine. I was caught off guard by the answer, and before I could respond, he kicked my door off the hinges and stormed out. While the whole situation was frightening, I was most worried about how I was going to explain the door to my parents. That was until the next day. Emily didn't make it to school that morning. Her body was found a week later. No fingerprints, no leads. And I never saw Samuel again. And that was almost 10 years ago now. I went through a period of reclusion, but eventually was able to move on. I even met another girl, got married, and had a kid. And after I tucked in my 3-year-old daughter last night, and I went to turn off the light. "Daddy?" she said, right before I could hit the switch. And I turned to look back at her. "Yes, baby." "Samuel says he missed you."